The fine fabric bunched as he pressed the blade to Van Eck's throat. Kaz was dizzy, and his limbs felt creaky from being trapped on the chair. But everything seemed sunnier with a weapon in his hand. Van Eck's guards were facing him, all with guns and swords drawn. He could feel the merchant's heart pounding beneath the wool of his suit. I don't think I need to waste breath on threats, Kaz said. Tell me how to get to the door, or I'm taking you through the window with me. I think I can change your mind. Kaz gave him a little jostle. I don't care who you are, or how big that ruby is. You don't take me from my own streets, and you don't try to make a deal with me while I'm in chains. Micah, Van Eck called. And then it happened. A boy walked through the library wall. He was as pale as a corpse and wore an embroidered blue Grisha tidemaker's coat, with a red and gold ribbon in the lapel, indicating his association with Van Eck's house. But not even Grisha could just stroll through a wall. Drugged, Kaz thought, trying not to panic. I've been drugged, or it was some kind of illusion. The kind they perform in the theaters of East Stave. A girl cut in half, doves from a teapot. What the hell is this? He growled. Let me go and I'll explain. You can explain right where you are. Van Eck huffed a short, shaky breath. What you're seeing are the effects of Yurta Prem. Yurta is just a stimulant. Yurta is just a stimulant. The little dried blossoms were grown in Navi Zem and sold in shops all over Ketterdam. In his early days in the dregs, Kaz had chewed them to stay alert during stakeouts. It had stained his teeth orange for days after. It's harmless, he said. Yurta Parem is something completely different, and it is most definitely not harmless. So you did drug me. Not you, Mr. Brecker. Micah. Kaz took in the sickly pallor of the Grisha's face. He had dark hollows beneath his eyes, and the fragile, trembling build of someone who had missed several meals and didn't seem to care. Yurta Prem is a cousin to ordinary Yurta, Van Eck continued. It comes from the same plant. We're not sure of the process by which the drug is made, but a sample of it was sent to the Kirch Merchant Council by a scientist named Bo Yulbayer. Shu? Yes, he wished it effect, so he sent us a sample to convince us of his claims regarding the drug's extraordinary effects. Please, Mr. Brecker, this is a most uncomfortable position. If you'd like, I will give you a pistol, and we can sit and discuss this in a more civilized fashion. A pistol and my cane. Van Eck gestured to one of his guards, who exited the room and returned a moment later with Kaz's walking stick. Kaz was just glad he used the damn door. Pistol first, Kaz said, slowly. The guard unholstered his weapon and handed it to Kaz by the grip. Kaz grabbed and cocked it in one quick movement, then released Van Eck, tossed the letter opener on the desk, and snatched his cane from the guard's hand. The pistol was more useful, but the cane brought Kaz a relief they didn't care to quantify. Van Eck took a few steps backward, putting distance between himself and Kaz's loaded gun. He didn't seem eager to sit. Neither was Kaz, so he kept close to the window, ready to bolt if need be. Van Eck took a deep breath and tried to set his suit to rights. That cane is quite a piece of hardware, Mr. Brecker. Is it fabricator made? It was, in fact, the work of the Grisha fabricator, lead-lined and perfectly weighted for breaking bones. None of your business. Get talking, Van Eck. The merchant cleared his throat. When Bo Yulbayer sent us a sample of Yurta Prem, we fed it to 3 Grisha, 1 from each order. Happy volunteers? Indentures, Van Eck conceded. The first 2 were a fabricator and a healer indentured to Councilman Hode. Micah is a tide maker. He's mine. You've seen what he can do using the drug. Hode, why did the name ring a bell? I don't know what I've seen, Kaz said as he glanced at Micah. The boy's gaze was focused intently on Van Eck, as if awaiting his next command, or maybe another fix. An ordinary tidemaker can control currents, summon water or moisture from the air or a nearby source. They manage the tides in our harbor, but under the influence of Yurta Prem, a tidemaker can alter his own state from solid to liquid to gas and back again, and do the same with other objects. even a wall. Kaz was tempted to deny it, but he couldn't explain what he'd just seen any other way. How? It's hard to say. You're aware of the amplifiers some Grisha wear. I've seen them, Kaz said. Animal bones, teeth, scales. I hear they're hard to come by. Very, but they only increase a Grisha's power. Yurta Prem alters a Grisha's perception. So? Grisha manipulate matter as if at its most fundamental level. They call it the small science. Under the influence of Prem, those manipulations become faster and far more precise. In theory, Yurta Prem is just a stimulant like its ordinary cousin, but it seems to sharpen and hone a Grisha's senses. They can make connections with extraordinary speed. Things become possible that simply shouldn't be. What does it do to sorry sobs like you and me? Vanek seemed to bristle slightly at being lumped in with Kaz, but he said, it's lethal. An ordinary mind cannot tolerate Prem, even in the lowest doses. You said you gave it to 3 Grishas. Grisha, what can the others do? Here, Vanek said, reaching for a drawer in his desk. Kaz lifted his pistol. Easy. With exaggerated slowness, Vanek slid his hand into the desk drawer and pulled out a lump of gold. This started as lead. Like hell it did. Vanek shrugged. I can only tell you what I saw. The fabricator took a piece of lead in his hands, and moments later we had this. How do you even know it's real? Asked Kaz. It has the same melting point as gold, the same weight and malleability. If it's not identical to gold in every way, the difference has eluded us. Have it tested if you like. Kaz tucked his cane under his arm and took the heavy lump from Vanek's hand. He slipped it into his pocket. Whether it was real or just a convincing imitation, a chunk of yellow that big could buy plenty on the streets of the barrel. You could have got that anywhere, Kaz pointed out. I would bring Hode's fabricator here to show you himself, but he isn't well. Kaz's gaze flicked to Mika's sickly face and damp brow. The drug clearly came with a price. Let's say this is all true and not cheap, coin trick magic. What does it have to do with me? Perhaps you heard of the Shu paying off the entirety of their debt to Kerch with a sudden influx of gold? The assassination of the trade ambassador from Novi Zem? The theft of documents from the military base in Ravka. So that was the secret behind the murder of the ambassador in the washroom. And the gold in those 3 Shu ships must have been fabricator made. Kaz hadn't heard anything about Ravkan documents, but he nodded anyway. We believe all these occurrences are the work of Grisha under the control of the Shu government, and under the influence of Yurta Prem. Vanek scrubbed a hand over his jaw. Mr. Brecker, I want you to think for a moment about what I'm telling you. Men who can walk through walls, no vault or fortress will ever be safe again. People who can make gold from lead or anything else for that matter, who can alter the very material of the world. Financial markets would be thrown into chaos. The world economy would collapse. Very exciting. What is it you want from me, Vanek? You want me to steal a shipment? The formula? No, I want you to steal the man. Kidnap Yul Bayer? Save him. A month ago we received a message from Yul Bayer begging for asylum. He was concerned about his government's plans for Yurta Prem, and we agreed to help him defect. We set up a rendezvous, but there was a skirmish at the drop point. With the Shu? No, the Fredians. Fjordans. Kaz frowned. The Fjordans must have set up spies deep in Shuhan or Kerch, if they had learned about the drug and Bolio Bayer's plans so quickly. So send some of your agents after him. The diplomatic situation is somewhat delicate. It is essential that our government not be tied to Yul Bayer in any way. You have to know he's probably dead. The Fjordans hate Grisha. There's no way they'd let knowledge of this drug get out. Our sources say that he's very much alive and that he's awaiting trial. Vanek cleared his throat. At the ice court. Kaz stared at Vanek for a long minute, then burst out laughing. Well, it's been a pleasure being knocked unconscious and taken captive by you, Vanek. You can be sure your hospitality will be repaid when the time is right. Now have one of your lackeys show me the door.